to the program Issues of the Moment. Issues of the Moment is a current affairs program of Living Television Aba, which is in Abia State in southeast Nigeria. I'm your regular host, Chimezie Ozems, and on today's edition of the program, we are going to take a look at tricycle operators and underage drivers, and also we are going to take a look at the activities of teamers. Yesterday, a competent law court presided over by Justice Elieze Mreji declared teamers illegal. And so that is our talking point today, and I have in the studio my regular contributors as far as this program is concerned. I have Professor Chinedum Adiele. Professor Adiele is a public affairs analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Our wonderful viewers, have a good listening.
I also have St. Moses Obonna. St. Moses Obonna is a lawyer and a media entrepreneur. St. Obonna, welcome to the program.
Welcome, viewers. Sit back and watch.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming to talk to us. Tricycle has become a major means of transportation in major cities across the country. It is not peculiar to Aba. If we have a good transport system, should tricycle be a major means of transport in urban centers? Professor Adiele.
Well, it's true that Nigeria is an acculturated society where most of what we do are borrowed, even our constitutions and so on, they are borrowed. And so because of that, I think that issue of this tricycle, or popularly known as keke, is also one of the borrowed things, because before now, we've had taxes, especially in this Abia State, and even in Aba, we have taxis and buses that we operated. But recently, now this keke came in. Anyway, it has eased off, transport. It has eased off transport in the state. But the truth is that where they apply in so many cities, you don't see them at the major cities, in major towns. They stay at the suburbs, where they now take people either into their streets or to the villages. They are not supposed to be seen at the major towns, or what they call the trunque and so on. But for instance, if you're taking when there is a traffic jam anywhere, you discover that the greatest problem you'll be having is this tricycle. They are supposed to exist. It's a good thing, because we don't have even enough taxis as we speak here. But I think they should be checked, properly checked. That's my take on that. They should be properly checked.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, St. Moses Obonna, if we have an organized society, should tricycle be a major means of transportation?
Certainly, yes. We have different means of transportation. We have the trailers, we have the tippers, the tankers, we have the buses, we have the tricycles, the taxis, and the Okada people. They are all various means of transportation, transporting human beings and goods. Like the Prof says, there should be a proper means of checking the activities of each of these transportation systems. Otherwise, one may hamper smooth running of the other. For instance, there was an order made by the Minister of Transport just recently, putting time when big lorries, tankers and trailers need to enter the cities. The tricycle themselves, because of the nature of the cities we have, some cities have good roads, some cities there are bad roads. Tricycle is the only means that can take people from areas that are good to areas that are bad because of the meandering nature of the vehicle itself. So, as a means of transport, it is proper for tricycle to exist. But there must be also laws, regulations that ought to put in place to enable the menace we are now witnessing in tricycle not to exist.
Okay, in advanced economy or in advanced society, do they use a tricycle as a means of transport?
I don't know what you call advanced.
Or is it because we are a third world country or a developing nation?
We cannot begin to import what we do not have environment for and begin to compare ourselves with that. If you go into America, I don't think you need tricycle in certain cities in America. But we don't have what exists there here. So we have to comport ourselves, confine ourselves with what we have, the nature of the cities we have, and the nature of the transportation we need.
Just a little addendum there. When you talk about where they are supposed to exist, you first of all consider the environment. What kind of environment do we have? You know, just like Samuel talked about the meandering nature, you know, there, even if you have all the taxis in the world, in Aba here, there are certain areas they cannot penetrate. It is this tricycle, that can take you there. There are, in fact, like I said earlier, I think the most important thing is to place checks on them. Act for existence. If you talk about a developed nation, this tricycle is not manufactured here. It is manufactured somewhere.
In India.
In India. And they saw the need, and we also saw the need.
China too.
And even China now. And we also saw the need here. And I think it has been a very big relief on transport. In fact, as it stands now, I don't think, especially in Abia State here, considering our road network, we can't do without it for now. And you know, remember, it should change these motorcycle, bikes, and so on. You know, if you look around, you know, because of the criminal activities that you know existed during the time of George, the motorcycles were banned, stopped operating, and so on. And even now, I'm not sure they have lifted that ban. And so if you now ask a tricycle to leave way because of development, and so where is the development? Not just because we are a third world nation, but because of the nature of our road networks. And that is why they must exist. It is important, but all we should be talking about is their modus operandi, you know, how they apply. There must be laws, there must be regulations, and there must be age limit. You know, even constitutionally, there are age limits to, you know, maturity. There's a level you get to before you now become a recognized full-grown person in the society. And I think that is what we should be looking at.
Okay, most people are worried that our youths are no longer interested in going to school or learning a vocation because of tricycle. Don't you think it's one of the drawbacks of this means of transport?
I don't know whether
making fast money. Our youths are no longer interested in learning a trade. Apprenticeship is dying.
I don't think it is because of tricycle. I think it is because of the economy. Because if you go to learn the trade and you are not able to set it up, you look for what you can do to be able to eke out a living. You also see our youngers, they don't go into tricycle. But many of them do not have the zeal anymore to go to school, to go and learn work. Even after learning the work, you see them at the nightclubs, hanging around somewhere. Because the patronage, not that the patronage is not there, but the capital to set up It's not there because the cost of renting a shop is outside their grip. Buying the equipment is another. But if we come into tricycle, tricycle should not be a veritable means of bringing in anybody, anyhow person of any age. I do not think that, like the Dimas man said the other day, that the union leaders ought to be blamed. I do not see where the union leaders will be blamed. Every union, we have three, for instance, in Abia State. The Atrewa, the Toan, and the Satwa. Each of these unions keep register. They keep register of their members. Every member that comes into Atrewa is registered. His passports are there. The number given to him is there to ride on his tricycle. It is one thing to register a member. It is another thing to control what happens on the road. For instance, when you come to driving, as it is in a tricycle, as it also should be in motorcycle. That's why motorcycle were used willingly to commit crime. KKs these days are also used willingly because the government agencies that ought to put the regulation and put it in check have failed to do what they're supposed to do. For instance, if you are a driver in Nigeria, you ought to hold a driving license. It is not the people at the park, the motor park unions, that goes on the street to check whether a driver has a license or not. No. Whether the driver is underage or not. No. It is the duty of either police, traffic, what do you call them? Road safety, DMAS as it is in Nigeria, and the other regulatory bodies, that we see a child, an obvious child, driving keke. Instead of stopping him, they will stretch out their hands and they collect the usual money and allow him to go. There is the people we call carry go walk. Carry go walk is somebody who is not even a union member, that goes to a keke owner or keke rider who has registered, and they carry his tricycle for a daily job, for whatever commission that he is given. It is those people that cannot be traced. Remember that if you have a tricycle, you register it with Atrewa, there is a peculiar color for Atrewa, that whoever is riding it or sees that tricycle knows it belongs to the union called Atrewa. But how do you know that the person riding that tricycle at that particular time is an Atrewa member that is duly registered? It is when he presents an authority enabling him to ride that tricycle. Sometimes you see people steal their tricycle, somebody's tricycle, and use it to commit crime, and he will pass checkpoints. There is nothing to identify the rider or link the rider with the tricycle. We have, the tricycle people have begged the government, the Transport Commission, the TMAS, the Board of Internal Revenue, that is the regulatory body for finances, collecting finances or revenue for government. Say, come together, bring out what we call riders permit. Since the road safety has no permit or driver's license for tricycle. What they have is that of motorcycle and the vehicles. There's none for tricycle. It's okay. State, for us to check the activities of the riders, not to tricycle. Tricycle has been registered. The rider has also been registered. But how do we know that the rider that has been registered in Atrewa or Towana and Satwa is the rider at that material time? He has to have a rider's permit that will be issued in collaboration with the tricycle unions, so that if the Transport Commission wants to register, issue rider's permit, he will come to Atrewa, have a capturing machine where the members of Atrewa will register and their bodies captured, duly captured, including their photographs, duly captured in a computerized manner. And that permit links him with the number of keke he is riding. So that if you say you are a rider, and we say, from where you say Atrewa, you see it. And you know that the tricycle he is riding is Atrewa. The rider himself is Atrewa. And that rider himself is authorized and permitted by the government. We will duly check the unruly behaviors of the riders. Until government does that, everywhere is loading bay. There's no bus stop. Create bus stops so that every passenger will know where to stop and they enter the tricycle or bus or taxi. Because they know when they create it, there will be no room for obstruction. Because it is through this obstruction that the touts and local governments make their money from tricycle. And there's one at Opobo Junction, Yobingwa. They come there every morning. There's no bus stop created, but they catch tricycle people, cut them away to their local government and collect 11,000 for parking where they did not put any signage that here should be a bus stop and there should not be. So you see that the corrupt nature which the transport and timers and the local government have instituted is what is causing the confusion in the road.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Professor Diele, as Moses, what he said is based on practical experience. He has an idea of what is happening. Now, my question is there no way the tricycle unions can identify underage drivers at the point of registration? Is it rocket science?
You see, from what St. Moses said, you see, there is no how they will register the underaged.
They are not registered.
These are not registered. If you remember his explanation, there was what they called in special English, carry-go work. Now, the registered member, either Atrewa or the other ones, may be sick and would not want to remain, wouldn't want the keke to waste, maybe it's higher purchase or whatever. And then they will look for someone else that will use the keke that same day and make some money. And then anybody comes in. But it is the duty of the Ministry of Transportation, the TIMAS, because I'm yet to know the real functions of TIMAS, honestly. Because I've seen them, all I see them is stopping vehicles, chasing vehicles along the main road, taking them to their offices and taking a huge amount of money out of them. That is all I know they do. What their primary function, I don't know. as a person. And I don't know how legal these their functions are, honestly. So I think if they are accepted by the Abia State government, that means there is a law allowing them to do that, maybe by the Abia State House of Assembly. There must be such law. And then, what is their duty? You see, one of the major problems we have here is, even if there is any law anywhere, those who are directly involved are always looking for a way to rip people off from it. Because in the Western world, the essence of public relations consultants and offices in so many places is to make sure that the policies of the government are introduced to the people through town hall meetings and so on. Now, if Timas, just like he said, if Timas has a right to apprehend the KKs or arrest them, or for people who are wrongly parked, then there must have been a well-made arrangement, and people will be educated about this and say, henceforth, the Abia State government is having a so-and-so organization called Timas, and these are their duties and functions. And anytime you are seen so-and-so place in so-and-so place, you'll be held. And whatever happens to you, and whatever they make, should go to the coffers of the government and not individual, because most of these things created here, they're only using it to enrich people, the people who are doing it. The other day, just by Brass Junction here, they were chasing a vehicle, and one of the girls in this small bus had to fall off, and then caused by these people. There is no how you prepare a sledgehammer without letting the people know what that organization stands for. As an Abian, I am telling you, I don't know what TIMA stands for. Honestly, whether they are legal or illegal, I do not know. And if you see the level of embarrassment they give to people on the way. So there is no how it would have been the duty of the unions who are managing these KKs and the people to know. It is the duty of the government. We already know that by the age of 18, though I see that as a mistake, that was why I started by saying that Nigeria is an acculturated society. Most of the things we use here, both our laws and constitutions, are borrowed. Because we know, you and I know that at the age of 18, almost even at the age of 25, 30, some people are still eating mama thank you. And so when you talk about age of 18, you started paying a tax and so on. That means at 18, the one is supposed to have been a full-grown person. There are some people who are 18 and yet they are still in secondary schools and so on. So what is the age? When we talk about underage, there was one. I was driving with him the other day, just by this police station here. He was telling the police people at the checkpoint, check this boy who is coming. Because if you look at that boy, I'm not sure he's up to 15 or 16 years. Yes, he was, and these are the people that sit with one side of their anus, and they don't care about life. And then for you to trust life on a person, should be a person who understands the value of life. And if you look at most of the accidents caused by these these underaged persons.
It's not the kidnapping.
Even the kidnapping. It is such people's that are used to perpetrate this evil. So I think it is the duty of the government, the Ministry of Transport, Board of Internal Revenue, the TIMAS themselves, if they should be co-opted into the government agent properly. These are the people that will come together. I think this is a wonderful idea as a movement made here. In fact, this one should be, because this is entirely a state affair, then there is nothing wrong for the ministry to come up to say, we are preparing either a rider's permit or driver's permit for these people. Because I know the rigorous protocol that goes on in getting your driving license from these other people. And this is a big amount of money.
I went to road safety, arranged with them for them to issue driver's license to Atrewa people. We told them that these tricycle people cannot be able to pay 28,000 naira for driver's license. By a special arrangement, we can pay 5,000. Good thing the commandant there agreed. We started sending them in batches to road safety for the driver's license. Lo and behold, when the licenses came out, what we saw was a motorcycle license. And I said, no. Why we even went into that arrangement was so that if a tricycle rider has the opportunity of getting this keke nabos, he can, with the license he has, at least begin to drive the small bus. We say no, since we cannot have a tricycle license, driver's permit, I personally went back to the Ministry of Transport, say, issue us with tricycle driver's license or tricycle rider's permit, so that on the road, I don't see any union member that can be standing on how many roads when there are roadblocks everywhere. On the road, the agency that is responsible for checking the traffic will be able to look at you and say, my friend, bring your rider's permit to know and ensure that the rider of the tricycle at that material time is licensed or permitted to use the tricycle. We even went ahead to write the numbers of the tricycle inside the tricycle, so that the passenger that is sitting inside, because I do not know of anybody who goes out behind the tricycle to memorize the number of the tricycle before he comes in. So that inside the tricycle, you see that the number is written there. If peradventure you forget anything in the tricycle, you'll be able to say, yes, this is the number of the tricycle I went in, or this is the color of the tricycle. It belongs to Satwa, or belongs to Tawan, or belongs to this thing. If the government have done what we ask them to do, the next thing is to go into education of the masses, of the commuters. I said, if you enter a tricycle and it appears to you that the rider is a small boy, don't go in. Or if you get to a checkpoint, you ask the police, please verify whether this rider has a rider's permit for your own safety. Our government or the agencies that are responsible have refused to do that. The only thing they go to governor to tell him is a ban keke. Keke did this, keke did that. Keke did nothing. If there is a good regulation, okay, let's take Timas for instance. Let's also take them in conjunction with the road safety.
Okay, Sir Moses Obunda, before you talk about Timas, I know that keke unions, they establish various task force. I know that there is a task force that is responsible for ensuring that keke riders pay their daily ticket.
Yes.
There's a task force for that. Then why is it difficult for that same keke unions to establish a task force to identify and apprehend underage drivers? Why is it difficult? Must we blame the government for every ill of the society?
No. The people that check ticket payment are also the minister, the Board of Internal Revenue. They own that task force.
Okay.
All right. You see, every human being in Nigeria has a right, has his own right to work. It is not we that issues the rider's permit. Our job is to register our members. There has to be a legally established permit by the government that you can enforce when you get to court. But eventually I catch somebody who is underage, that is underage, and there is no law limiting him from riding tricycle. Will I punish him in Atrewa or in Satwa or in Towan? You take him to police. And when you take him to police, there is no law that says he shouldn't ride the tricycle. What will the police do? They collect money from him and allows him to go.
Even when you talk about these unions, the unions, they are like owners of vehicles, and what they do is that they are in charge. They are in charge of these tricycles and making sure that these people who are there, because there is no reasonable person that will want to give a person of an age person of 15 years and say, yes, we register you with your keke.
It's not done.
It's not done.
It's not
Yet
done.
it is the duty of the government to either promulgate a law and say, this is the age. Already, generally, we know what the Constitution says about Nigerian age. That's why I keep talking about acculturation. But when they say, like the Ministry of Transport, TIMAS, BIR, these are the people who are really in charge. They should come together. The three heads should come together and say, this is how it's going to be. And by this, when this rider's permit is given to them, and then you will know that there is no how if the unions are the ones capturing them, there is no how they will capture an underage person of 15 years and recommend him for driver's license or rider's permit. There's no how they will do that. So it is still falls on the government to say, these are our agents. Let us know, how do we regulate this? What will be the offense? What will be the punishment of the offender? If we see if we see a person around that age carrying any keke, that keke will be seized. It will be the government and not the union, not the owners of these unions. Okay, assuming they say that and they have one or two or three of them, and if they pound that keke, where will they go? In the office here, in our office, that the boys will organize one night and break the whole place and then take their keke back. So it is the government, since this tricycle is also a means of making money for government, they should also make sure it is properly guided.
Okay, thank you very much.
There's something I wanted to say.
Don't worry.
Okay.
We are going to take a break, and when we come back, you will say what you have in your mind. At this point, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, issues of the moment will continue, and also when we return, we are going to open our telephone line so that you can be part of this interesting discussion. Don't go away.
Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh, sure, sure.
Back to the program. You are still watching Issues of the Moment. Like I said earlier before we went on that short break, our telephone line is now open. You can reach us on 091-6828-4994. 091-6828-4994. So Moses, before we went on that break, we are trying to say something. Now you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, what I wanted to say is that regulation of movement of vehicles on the road is made possible for there not to be obstructions, so that there will be free flow of traffic. Sometimes it bothers me when I see that these agencies like the TIMAS, the police, limit the activities on just few major roads. Abowore Road, up to Park. You stop at, when you get to Ungwa Road, the head of Ungwa Road, that's where the activity stops.
Ungwa Road by East.
Ungwa Road by East, then Opobo Junction. That's all. If you go to places like Azikiwe Road, St. Michael's Road, Market Road, in fact, you see mechanics repairing their keke or vehicle, blocking the whole road. You see somebody who is building his house, tipping his sand and gravel on the road. Yet it demands.
That one is a daily occurrence.
We not see it. Transport, we not see it. Even if a minister of works that is in charge of building the road that people are destroying is not interested. The nature of the usage of the road has now limited the movement of vehicles and the tricycle to these major roads, because you dare not enter these other roads. If you enter there, you'll be stopped. Somebody may even display his goods and wares on the road. There are walkways. Every walkway in Aba is now an extension of the shops. I remember when at the inception of this government, there was is it an agency or committee that was called Urban Renewal?
Urban Renewal.
That was responsible for the, creating, making sanity, returning sanity on our roads, creating walkways.
Yes. I think it was headed by later Dr. Ogunji.
I think that committee or body died as soon as Ogunji died. Every of the walkways he created himself are now an extension or expansion of the shops. So, if anybody is saying that the confusion we're having on the roads is just because the tricycles are there, I will tell you it's not true. It's because the government agencies that ought to regulate the conduct of both the drivers or users of our main roads have neglected doing that.
Okay, thank you, Sir Moses Obonna. And Professor Adiele, yesterday, an Abia High Court Soma Division, presided over by Justice Eliezer Emereji, declared TIMAS illegal. What is your take on that?
Well, I think for a court of competent jurisdiction, you have done that. I am sure they have looked at the pros and cons, the operations of these of the TIMAS as an agent, whether it's agent of government or personal enterprise, I don't know. Like I said earlier, I don't even know their functions. And I think shortly before this the pronouncement by the court, I think they were already biting more than they can chew. The way they embarrass people and the kind of nuisance they constitute in our roads in the name of chasing a vehicle. Even road safeties don't do that. Dragging a man in the steering, pulling him out, they do all that. So if a court of competent jurisdiction said they are illegal, automatically they are illegal. That means they have no. Then, if that is what it is, and if they are illegal, honestly, if we have a working government, they should be held responsible to vomit all they have taken from people and pay it into government coffers. Honestly, I think that is what should be done. If they are illegal, that means he's stealing. If they are illegal, that means all they've been doing all this while is either 419 or stealing from the people, from the public, with every form of intimidation and embarrassment. And they should be brought to book for all they have done. It's not about declaring them illegal and then they go in. They must be brought to book. If not, another one will spread out tomorrow and start his or her own.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Sir Moses Ogbonna, you are a practicing lawyer, and I'm sure we have thousands of lawyers practicing in Abia State. Why did it take so long to for this to come to the fore that Timas has been operating illegally when we have lawyers?
I know that Timas was established by the government of the day. I also know that it has to pass through, the documents have to pass through certain stages for the House of Assembly to establish an enabling law that will make Timas a legal entity. I did not see the judgment. I have not followed the processes or the proceeding. Until I do that, I will now know what informed the judgment of the court, which I do not doubt because I know the competence of the particular judge that gave that judgment. It's not a judge you will appear before him and you start saying things anyhow or sentiment. He's one of the judges I know, one of the few judges we have we can vouch for, that once he gave a judgment, that judgment stands. Having said that, I do not think the fault is on the Timas itself. The fault may be from the people who ought to pass the bill into law that failed to do that. Or there may be a hiccup or hitch somewhere. I do not think that a government that thought such a reasonable body to be created will just create it by pronouncement without passing through the stages of...
But for the judge to have pronounced them illegal, that means even if the government had pronounced their existence, they think it was not properly gazetted.
That's what I'm saying, that maybe that process is still on and has not been completed.
For how many years? And the government...
It is now for the government...
I want to comment at this point. If we have members of the House of Assembly who are saddled with the duty of making laws for the good governance of the state, why didn't they raise an alarm that these people, they are operating illegally?
That is it. That is one important question. But I would also think, maybe from what Sir Moses said, maybe the governor had made the pronouncement and the papers are still at the floor of the House of Assembly. It has not been fully gazetted. It has not been fully passed as a law. That means their existence is illegal. But somebody asked them to start. Because
I know very well that if Justice Eweneji says it is illegal, he is not talking from sentiment. Like I said, it's a judge. When I stand before him, appear before him, I will be very prepared. There are many like that. So for him, after all the arguments, then he says this Timas has not, the papers have not passed through all the rudiments it ought to pass that will make it legal. Until that is done, Timas is an illegal entity. And I do not want to say they should cease to operate, or government should hasten to make sure that what has not been properly put in place should be put in place. But now that they operate, things they ought to do, they are not doing it. I heard the commander the other day saying that why they don't pursue tricycle that goes on one way. It's because if they pursue him and he falls, stumbled, and people die, they will now blame Timas. Okay. How many operators do you have? Where do they supposed to stand? Before a tricycle veers into a one-way, there is a junction, yes, an entrance. If you know that it's where they veer into the one-way, you stand there to stop him from going into one-way. Look, these are tricycle operators and the motor vehicle operators are law-abiding citizens. It's because the mass man that stands there and the policeman that stands there has corruptly debased himself, that it does no longer constitute a hamper for anybody who wants to commit traffic offense. Because 50 naira does the magic, 100 naira does the magic, and once you're able to bring out the 100 naira or the 50 naira, you go. And once they know, do you know the right numbers? Early in the morning you write number, pay. Once you come there, you say number 3. You can even kidnap somebody, you will pass. Because you have said the number 3, and the number 3 has registered and has paid his daily due. So the problem is that the people that are on the street that should control the menace of these people should be people who are reasonably committed to what they are. The responsibility they are put there for. Okay. Otherwise, we will continue.
Okay, so Moses, I have been watching you throughout this program. You have been holding brief for the corporators. It seems you have a stake in what is happening there because it is well known that they are very reckless.
The KK people are not reckless. For instance, I have interest in Atrewa.
Okay.
Atrewa people, the day Timas came here, he said it publicly that their problem is not Atrewa. But we cannot, because there is nothing in place. Because in Atrewa we invite them for meetings. Like yesterday, they were there. We educate them on government policies and tell them, don't call me if you are caught over violating any of the traffic rules. We explain these traffic rules to them. But that does not mean that one who has been given the power and authority to manage the traffic should not do so. I want to tell you the other day I saw this NDDC, is it? No, World Bank people doing some empowerment. I stumbled into them. I said, what are you doing? They said, they are World Bank people, there is an empowerment program. So I come for Atrewa. They were there the other day. For 3 days now, they have been registering Atrewa people. If it is 20,000, 30,000, 90,000, they will give to them. That is what a union is supposed to do. But I want to tell you, as far as Atrewa is concerned, as far as the interest I have in Atrewa subsists, you cannot register anybody that is underaged. All the members of Atrewa, their phone numbers are there. Their addresses are there. If you commit an offense, bring the number. The chairman of Atrewa will tell you, sit down. They will call that person. Once we call him and he comes, the chairman will take you to the police, hand him over to you, and he goes to the police.
Okay, thank you. Still talking about Timas. Since there is no law establishing Timas, can it be said that Timas has been a product of executive lawlessness? Professor Taylor.
It is not everybody that is created, the law is made immediately. It passes a very, very rigorous, stages.
I asked.
Yes, for a court of competent jurisdiction to have said that to have declared the mass illegal. It simply means that all the necessary things, the documentations, to have passed them into a law for them to become a legal entity.
Different levels, stages.
They've been from stages to stages. They've not got into the final stage. But the thing is rather getting belated because this is about 7 years and this government is coming to an end very close. So I doubt what is going to happen. I wouldn't want to say it's executive recklessness. All it means is that, and because if you see them, the way they operate, I know in one of the occasions, their commander, I saw him in a uniform, and the rank is equal to that of Commissioner of Police. I saw him on a uniform and one day in a program. His rank was that of equal to that of Commissioner of Police. And with such rank, and the way they operate with every amount of impunity, there is no how you want to believe that they are not registered.
Okay, we have a caller. Hello? Hello? Okay, continue.
So there is no how you want to believe. And you know, even his boys, they all go on uniform. They are no Maya, they in fact all parts of Abia State and so on. Most often they are there with the police and so on. And the police has not for once intervened. Well, I think it's just like they say that whoever his father sends to steal breaks the door with his slave.
Boldly.
Boldly. So I think that's what has been happening. The governor is aware of this. It is either the governor may have done his bit, but the other processes, the departments are supposed to pass through. Before even the Ministry of...
Excuse me, we have a caller on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Welcome to the program. Please, can you tell us your name and your location?
Okay, sir. My name is Clement, sir. I'm calling from Bohe, sir.
Okay, Clement, go ahead and talk to us.
Okay, I just want to make a little contribution on what you have said, considering the fact about the underage tricycle drivers.
Okay.
When the speakers were doing something that he made mention of registering them in unions. And I'm quite convinced in what he's saying, knowing fully well that number one, that nobody that owns a tricycle will come to register it, and you look at the person, you discover that such a person is underage and they will register that person. I think that when that underage comes in view, when maybe like someone that a tricycle operator doesn't want to go out or something like that, maybe a super might say, that if person might either say, I carry this check, you go and drive, go. And by so doing, you come to discover that without being checked or without knowing really well if that guy can handle the traffic that is on the way or can handle it very well, along the line you see that these people come to bed. When you go to some of these junctions and you look at some of these little children going with this keke, you discover that some of them will just come at the side and see. After some time, you see the owner of the keke leaving the keke for the person to drive. This things needed to be deflected, and you know when we talk about it on that, those pastors even that are close to that place don't take these children. They don't do that against the law. And meanwhile, they know it and the violence should be allowed to give keke drivers to be given the permission to drive keke. And again, ask him if I know that they started for a very long time. And now to tell that they are illegal. He started operating for a very long time. And now telling them illegal. I think that there is something fishy in this thing. And there are still much more stories that we've not heard that are still going to be unfolded at the end of this. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Clement, for your contribution. Gentlemen, you heard him. He raised the issue of underage keke drivers. In fact, he is on the same page with both of you. and also that of Timas, he said that more things will continue to unfold.
Do you know that even the bandits use keke? Unknown gunmen use keke.
That is true.
You see, when you ride freely on the road and then nobody checks you. I am yet to know of any checkpoint I have gone to, and the policeman asks you to come down and open your boot. No, it's particulars. As if for the crime in this world is not to having particulars. Because
particulars is a botanical name for money.
Money good. That's the quickest way of getting money. And in fact, they are unhappy when they check your particulars and it is correct. They look at you and say, what kind of person are you? Or find out something now. After they have wasted their time to check your particulars. So, what we are saying is this. The government has to wake up, because we are approaching an electioneering period, when we feel that a lot of hoodlums will take advantage of what happens on our roads to cause mayhem. So, not only tricycle, not only car, even the people carrying the big cars. I know that road safety banned the use of tinted glass. But those big men, they still go on tinted glass. They go to the police and get permission.
They lifted the ban. The police have lifted the ban.
Okay, they've lifted the ban. So, when the election is approaching, if you carry this big jeep and you are lucky to have a siren, or you use a tarpaulin to cover your plate number, you are righteous. The moment you are approaching a police checkpoint, they will even stop every other vehicle and they make way for you. And the God help you have a siren. You just want to whoa, 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 bam, you are crossed. Nobody bothers to say, okay, stop.
What quarter is it coming from?
Who are you? May we know you? My friend Hadley Jesse says it does not pay to ask. There's nothing you lose. They open their vehicle, they look at the people that are there, and go away. But everybody is a psychopath. They play psychophancy. They believe that these big men are saints like me. They are not. Police has to sit up, because we are approaching a very, very dangerous period. Not only focusing your attention on tricycle.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen. We are coming to the end of today's edition of the program. But before we call it a day, Professor Adi, let me ask you this question. Since Timas has been declared an illegal agency, what will happen to the salaries they have been receiving, they have been paid over the years? Will they refund it to the state? What will happen?
I think a particular agent or task force should be set up to know if actually they were operating on their own without any approval. If the approval is from the governor and maybe the necessary things have not been done, whatever thing, not just the salaries they've received, even the monies they've collected from people, if they've been operating purely on illegality, then this thing should be refunded. That's what it should be. It should be refunded. And I know we are rounding up. I also want to say that these operators, if the government, the three agencies that are concerned in this thing, they should make a way, whether it is the driver's permit, or make sure that each operator must have that, and then have an ID card that they will hang over their neck as they move. So that if you look at the ID card, if the bearer is quite different from the picture in the ID card is different from the person driving the keke, they have a problem. By the time you started this way, you discover that everything will fall in place.
I even suggested that each keke operator should hang his photograph at the front of his, at the back of his seat.
Yes.
So that the people at the back will know, even the motor vehicles, we know that the driver who is driving is the legitimate driver who ought to drive you. If you look at the picture of the driver, is different from the driver on the seat or the tricycle rider. You ask questions. You will at least know that the person driving this thing is not the rightful person that ought to ride this keke. We did have that suggestion, but I don't know. Well, I thank Living Television.
Well, I think both the commissioners, I know no man has monopoly of knowledge. They may have been so occupied that they can forget most of this thing, but now we are reminding them, especially because of 2023 that is fast approaching. It is important that these things will be done properly. Let these KK people be identified. If you have been on the way these few days, I've not been moving with my vehicle. There was one I stopped that was about taking me. When I looked at the boy, I quickly get down. And these are I call them the sagging group, because the way you identify them with torn chin, and then their trouser will be at the laps, not even at the waist, now in the buttock. So the moment I saw it, I quickly get down from like it's okay, why now? I said, I want me wave like go ahead, you know. So we should check them. And these are people, they don't have manners. They can insult you at any.
I said the other day I was snapping one small boy. See the way he jumped out of the tricycle to hold my.
I was with
and the police was there. A police said, why is they snap him now? Police was asking me, why are they snap
very little boy that is not up to 16 or 17.
Okay, gentlemen, I want to thank you for your contribution and also coming to Living Television Aba to talk to us on this very important subject. We have been taking a look at the issue of underage drivers, KK drivers in particular, and also what happened yesterday when a judge, Justice Elieze Muneji, declared Timas an illegal agency. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Chimezie Ozems. Join us on Tuesday for another interesting package of issues of the moment. Enjoy your weekend.
Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption here, there, and everywhere. Inflation is soaring high. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh, sure, sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many, many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Green revolution is a reality. Let's give it a chance to grow. Let's join our hands to farm the land so we can have enough food to show. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. We all want to be millionaires and to live in the air. Oh, let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, we want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Remember that a simple step is the beginning of a million miles. Let's start right now to rebuild ourselves so as to make the country smile. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Heaven and earth will pass away. It is written in the book of God. The good people we shall find their ways, and the meek will inherit the world. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. We want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Let's save Nigeria. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria is heading to? One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Amen.